Sisters in crime, brothers-in-law, welcome to the Davitt Awards, the night of nights for Australian women's crime writing. My name is Sue Turnbull, and for my sins, I am Sisters in Crime's roving ambassador, though I haven't been doing much roving of late with the COVID situation. But tonight is a milestone, the 20th anniversary of the awards which were first presented at She Kilda, Sisters in Crime's 10th anniversary convention held in the St Kilda Town Hall. We had hoped to hold a gala dinner to mark this special occasion, but the pandemic has had other ideas. But I've got the sequins, I've got the earrings, you don't want to know about the other half, but we'll definitely gala from the waist up. The one silver lining is that thanks to the miracles of modern technology, Val McDermid, Tartan Noir crime queen, is able to join us from Edinburgh to present awards with us tonight. But before I introduce Val, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present. And we are indeed delighted to welcome Val McDermid, a very special friend of Sisters in Crime. Val presented the Davitts in 2003 and 2010, and this is her 7th event with us. Shortly, yes. There you are, you're mic'd up and ready to go. Good on you, Val. Shortly, Val and I will be talking about her brilliant career for about 15 minutes before she presents the awards. But it is now my pleasure to introduce the Davitt sponsor, Dr. Carolyn Beasley, the Deputy Department Chair, Media and Communication, and Programme Director and Senior Lecturer of Writing from Swinburne University of Technology.
Swinburne is incredibly honoured to be able to support the amazing work of Sisters in Crime, of each of you as writers, and the Davitt Awards. So, as I'm sure you know, Swinburne offers a few writing programs for those amongst you who wish to commit your own writerly crimes. And we run a TAFE Professional Writing and Editing Diploma headed by Nick Brash, and Nick is the Chair of Writers Victoria. And he also MCs a really incredibly cool and groovy open mic night known as Spirit of Punk, in which no reading can be longer than a Ramones song. We also have 2 writing undergraduate majors, one in creative writing and literature and one in professional writing and editing. And I'm excited to report that you can now pair these with criminology and radio journalism to give your true crime podcast that extra authority. We're happy to play your product on our streamed radio station as well, known as Swin Radio, and to make sure that our airwaves are your airwaves. We also offer an online Masters of Writing. Now, this is an all-purpose degree. You can do it in your pajamas or you can do it in your jail cell, just in case your research gets a little too real and you get a bit confused, and instead of withdrawing money from the bank, you find yourself barreling over the counter, stashing some cash and leading an entourage of flashing blue lights down the street. And don't worry, I'm sure the judge will think that researching a crime novel is a perfectly justifiable defence. And if not, rest assured, we'll be right there with you to do the time and to write the crime. And of course, there's another set of very special writing programs known as the PhD and the Masters by Research. Now, when it comes to the Masters or the PhD, you do have to serve the time to write the crime in these programs, but we will gladly serve that sentence with you. So your supervisors, as us, our supervisory team, are all award-winning fiction writers, and our accolades range from winning first prizes for short story competitions to winning Best Crime Novel Awards to shortlistings in the incredibly prestigious International Commonwealth Writers' Prize. So as I wrap up, thank you all so much for giving voice to vibrant, diverse and hidden stories that surround us. And on that note, thanks to the unstoppable Carmel and the Sisters in Crime crew for putting on such an exciting and much needed online event. It's not an easy thing to do, but you've completely carried it off with panache. Well done. And again, thank you for letting us help keep Alan Davitt's spirit alive and for encouraging you to keep on pumping out your own work. So happy reading and writing, sisters.
Thanks, Carolyn. That was great. Now, let me properly introduce Val, who has sold over 17 million books across the globe, is translated into more than 40 languages. She's perhaps best known for her Wire in the Blood series, featuring clinical psychologist Dr. Tony Hill and DCI Carol Jordan. But Val has written 3 other series: Private Detective Kate Brannigan, journalist Lindsay Gordon, and cold case detective Karen Pirie, and several standalone novels. She's also written non-fiction, short story collections, a children's picture book, My Granny is a Pirate. I haven't read that. I have to get that. With more than 40 books under her belt, she continues to be a remarkably versatile writer for stage, airwaves, and screen, and fronts a rock band at crime festivals and conferences. And I've seen her in action. She's brilliant. She's won many awards, and she is the recipient of 5 honorary doctorates. And just out is her latest Karen Pirie novel, Still Life. And here it is, Val. I've got it right here.
Excellent. It's very pretty.
It's a very pretty book, and I loved it. But I think you may have just broken a record. Is it possible that you are going to be the first published crime book that ends with COVID-19?
It may well be the case. It's slightly ironic. When I was working on the idea for this book and started work on it last year, I was always going to write it set in February 2020. That was when it was going to be set in my head. And I started writing in January, and I was plodding along with it, moving with the spectre of COVID gradually getting bigger and bigger in front of us. And by the time I finished the book while we were in lockdown here, which was exceptionally strange for all sorts of reasons. And I thought, I don't want to directly write about this. And I also don't want to do the had I but known, dear reader kind of thing. So what I've tried to do was just drop in a couple of indirect references throughout the text to the fact that this thing is coming. And then the book ends on the eve of lockdown. And frankly, I think that's the last I'm going to write about COVID for some time, because all my books up till now have really kind of been set in the present, in the here and now, very contemporary. And I can't do that just now because there is no solid ground to stand on. Every day brings something different. And I have no notion of where the world will be next August when this next book of mine will come out. And I don't feel comfortable writing against the pandemic, because this is something that has had such a profound impact on so many people's lives. And in many ways, I think the real catastrophe of COVID is yet to come. But I have to write because that's what I do. And if I'm not writing, then I'm not writing myself. So I've gone back to 1979. And I'm planning a quintet of novels with the same protagonist that goes 79, 89, 99, 2009, and 2019. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, how exciting. That sounds amazing. But are you still what's your situation are you in Edinburgh or in Leith at the moment?
Today I'm actually in the house in Fife, where we have a little cottage on the coast in Fife. My partner is a professor at St Andrews University, so normal circumstances, when she's working, she'd be spending time here because it's an easier commute. So we've been splitting our time since the lockdown was eased between Edinburgh and Fife, and our new restrictions that have just come out, I think, make it possible for us to continue doing that, as long as we don't let anybody in the house.
Well, yesterday the restrictions between Victoria and New South Wales were open, so we could actually go to Melbourne. We can actually move between states, but only some states. It's easing, but only slightly. But so you were writing this book during lockdown in Edinburgh?
I was in Edinburgh. Yes, we stayed in Edinburgh for lockdown. When we couldn't travel, we decided to stay in Edinburgh for all sorts of reasons. It's where we're registered with a doctor. It's easier to get food shopping done, and all sorts of things like that.
Well, one of the things that I love about this book is there's actually quite a lot of food in it. Karen seems to eat her way around Edinburgh, and every excursion that she has, it's whatever food is available in the best kinds of restaurants. And I was thinking to myself that this is Val being slightly nostalgic about the fact that she can't go out to eat anywhere. But
there may have been an element of that.
But then I discovered you were doing these fantastic cooking videos, and that some of them refer to the characters in the book.
Yeah, I decided that quite early on in lockdown, I realized that everything was going online. All the festivals were going online. And there's only so much you can take of an author or two authors or even four authors sitting on a screen doing their thing and talking about their books. And also, I guess for writers, what we have to say doesn't hugely change. I mean, it varies from book to book because each book has its own story. But our fundamental story and our fundamental practice doesn't really change very much. And, you know, after you've told the same anecdotage for the seventh time in 2 weeks, you start thinking people are going to get fed up with this pretty quickly. So I thought I needed to mix it up a bit and do something a bit different. And I often get emails and tweets from readers about the recipes or the food that people eat in the books. And I thought it'd be fun to do some videos with the recipes that are either referred to or eaten in the books. And so we started off, we thought we'd do a couple of these videos of cooking the books. It's called Recipes from the Fiction Kitchen. And my partner Joe, who is a professor of geography, not a videographer, suddenly discovered had a very steep learning curve on how to edit videos, and we just stuck them up on my Facebook page and on YouTube, and people seem to really like them. So we ended up doing one a week for 8 weeks. We decided to stop when we were still enjoying it because we didn't want it to become a chore. We didn't want it to be like, oh God, it's Wednesday, we've got to cook something. But I think we may revisit it later in the year, or maybe a Halloween one.
Look, I've been watching them and they have made me laugh so much. And partly it's the interplay between you and Jo, because she's kind of criticizing you and you drop something on the floor and you go, 2 seconds, no, it's too long for 2 seconds. I can't put that in now. Yeah. And it's kind of, you know, it's the opposite of Nigella, but so wonderful in terms of the funniness.
The one that's become a kind of, everybody keeps coming back to us about is chicken, where I was putting raw chicken in the pan and then I used the oven gloves. And Joe has a complete meltdown going, chickeny hands, chickeny hands.
Well, there was another comment of hers, and this is I'm not sure this is a brilliant segue or it's just me trying to be clever, but where you had said some line about preserving the identity of the potato, and Joe goes, potatoes with identity? Vegetables with integrity? What is going on here? Now, that's a segue to the book, because in fact, the book is all about identity. Not
and integrity. Yeah. Yes. I mean, this is a book that hinges on identity and indeed the integrity of that identity. What does it mean to be who we are? And I thought that one of the ways into this for me was also what features in the book, which is the idea of art and portraiture. And I've been thinking about that quite a bit over the last 2-3 years, partly because I did a project with an artist friend of mine called Audrey Grant called The Long Look. And essentially I sat for her over a period of about 2 years. Every couple of weeks I'd go along and sit for a couple of hours, and she did drawings, but it was essentially the same drawing that she reworked and reworked every week. So at the end of this 2-year process, there were 2 final drawings. I found it fascinating to see the way it changed week on week, what she erased, what she kept, what she moved forward with. And the thing that struck me most forcibly was the difference in the drawings when I was starting a book and when I was finishing a book. At the beginning of a book, the drawings were quite indistinct and almost muddy in places. And by the time it got to the end of the book, they were just sparking with energy, and my hair was sort of sticking up in all different directions, and my face was much more sort of animated and intelligent even. And this ended up, a friend photographed the drawings every week, and it ended up as an exhibition at the Scottish National Portrait Gallery called The Long Look. And I got interested then in that process. And there's a very good television programme called Sky Arts Portrait Artist of the Year that we get in the UK. I don't know if you can access that in Australia. But essentially, a mixture of professional and amateur artists are put in front of subjects, usually famous people, actors or writers or musicians, and have 4 hours to paint them. And watching that happening live, I find absolutely fascinating. So it seemed to me that this was something that I could profitably use as a writer, because nothing's ever wasted, really.
No, nothing at all. But the portraiture theme is just one little theme within the book, because there are two main stories. Do you want to give us a little bit of a synopsis? Because Karen Pirie is a cold case detective, but she runs up against another case. Just outline the two cases that she runs up against, just to give people a feel for the book.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say too much about it without spoilers,
Yeah,
but Karen runs the historic case unit of Police Scotland, which is rather a grand name for her and her sidekick Jason. And she's, at the start of the book, she's drawn into a case where a skeleton has been discovered in a camper van in the garage of somebody who has just been killed in a road accident. As far as her sister, who's her executor, is concerned, her sister didn't own a camper van. So the questions then become, whose van is this? Whose body is this? What's it doing in the garage of a very respectable house in Perth? And just as Karen's starting to get her teeth into that, another case literally emerges from the waves. In fact, the sea, not far in front of where I'm sitting now, a lobster fisherman pulls a body out of the Firth of Forth. And although this is a fresh body in a sense, and therefore not Karen's preserve, it emerges quite quickly that this body is, in fact, the body of a man who was the prime suspect in the case of a missing person, a presumed murder from 10 years before. So it does become hers. And the case takes her to the north of England, it takes her to Paris, it takes her to Ireland, before she finally resolves these two cases.
And a lot of eating on the road, I may say.
Yes, and she's working with a detective from another unit because the fresh body, as it were, is also the purview of the serious crime unit in Fife. And so she's got a new sidekick called Daisy, who is one of these irritating people who can eat huge quantities of junk and never put on an ounce, So Daisy's always stuffing herself with sausage rolls and donuts and croissants, and Karen's like thinking, if I ate that, I'd be at the side of a house by tomorrow,
But, Karen's got this partner, the wonderful Hamish, whose porridge is one of your videos that you show us how to make. Hamish's, what is it you call it? Hipster porridge?
Hamish's hipster porridge.
We love Hamish, but you're very careful to keep him and Karen. You don't want a cozy relationship. You're keeping them quite at odds with each other. I'm just noticing that you're not letting us have much of them together.
Well, no, not so much, because Karen is on the move a lot in this book, but also I absolutely did not want this to be some sort of cozy relationship where everything goes smoothly and nothing is problematic. So Karen has a lot of reservations about having a relationship with Hamish, partly because he's so different from her, and partly because he's so different from the man who was the love of her life, the late Phil Parhatka. And so there's always that question mark in Karen's mind about Hamish. And for Hamish, poor Hamish, that's that terrible thing of how do you compete with the perfect dead man? So it's a relationship that I think has potential to be interesting, but it's never going to be without its moments where they each stumble over things that make them uncomfortable or they find hard to handle.
But I remember when we met last, and I said that when Hamish was first introduced in the previous book, and he sort of stormed in, I immediately went Jamie from Outlander, and I'm so glad you put that in now. Yes. It is Jamie from Outlander.
Yeah.
But I went back to this. Can you see that? The Distant Echo.
Ah, yes.
Which is
the first.
That was the first, but she doesn't appear in there until quite a long way through. Am I right?
Yeah, she's there probably from about a third of the way in, but she doesn't really do anything very much. But towards the end, she has a small but crucial role in the unraveling of the plot. Because when I wrote The Distant Echo, as far as I was concerned, it was a standalone. And what happened was fundamentally an indication of my laziness, because I had an idea for another, what I thought was going to be a standalone, set in Fife, and I thought, I need a cold case detective, and I thought, but I've already got a cold case detective. I'll just use her, buff her up a bit, and bring her centre stage. So that's where it started, and that's how Karen became a series character. And it's quite ironic at the moment because it's in the process of being turned into a TV series.
That was my next question.
Well, they have to start at the beginning. So there's a certain amount of rejigging of the storytelling in The Distant Echo to give Karen a more prominent role, and also to shunt it closer, so the stories come closer together in terms of telling them on television, because technically the books cover a period of about 17 years, and Karen actually ages about 4 years in the books, 4 or 5 years. So it's my world. I can do this. Time goes by in the real world, but you know, it's like dog years. You know, it's the reverse of dog years. Every one of our years is like 3 months in Karen's life.
Yeah, so this is book number 6. So with the TV series, are they going to follow the books? Are they going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
That's the idea, yeah. They're starting with The Distant Echo, and it's going to be done as 3 2-hour films. So they're giving it space to tell the story properly. It's not trying to cram every book into 45 minutes. So I'm really pleased about that. And I've seen the initial scripts, and I'm very, very pleased with them. I think it'll be exciting.
Well,
the real key will be when we cast Karen. That's the difficult thing.
That's going to be the hard part, because I remember with Wire in the Blood, you know, there was a moment when they took off and went in another direction, and you took your characters in another direction. So it'd be very interesting. I think we'll be intrigued to see how this plays out, Val.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, part of the thing is that, you know, the temptation with television companies is always to go for big names, to go for stars. But to be quite blunt about it, stars tend to be pretty and slim. And Karen is not. Well, she's not unattractive, but she's a normal woman.
Yeah.
You know, she's not some film star. She's that kind of look. And it's finding someone who not just looks right, but also sounds right. Because I think to people outside Scotland, all Scottish accents sound much the same. But to us, there's a huge range of difference in local accents. Fife is different from Edinburgh, even though they're only a few miles apart, for example. And Karen is very firmly fae Fife, which is where I'm fae. And if I was talking Braid Fife, you would hear a struggle kenning what I was saying, Ken?
I can.
So,
well, I'm from South Shields.
Yeah, but it has to be an actor who sounds as if credibly she could come from the east of Scotland. Now that doesn't mean she has to come from the east of Scotland, but she has to be able to do the accent properly.
Yeah, no, I get you completely. Oh well, look, we've got to wind up our conversation because we've got to get on with the awards section of the evening. But it's just so wonderful to hear what you've been up to and to meet Karen again. And I must say, I really did enjoy Still Life. There was so much of interest in there, and that stuff about portraiture which is in there is fascinating as well. So congratulations to you. It's a great book.
Thank you.
So thank you, Val. You're going to stick around because you're going to be involved in the awards. Now we're getting back to that moment. And I've just got a little bit of history from the Davitt Awards to give you, which is that, in fact, when we started these in 2001, there were 7 books in contention. Although the awards at that point didn't extend to true crime, or what we're now calling non-fiction. This year, an amazing 124 books have been battling it out. This would appear to suggest that more and more women are turning to crime, and for good reason. Crime stories deal with the social issues that matter to us, whether they focus on the world of scientific experiments, bad banks, or the disappearance of children. They touch our hearts and our intellects, and they challenge our notions of justice. They compel us to think about what is happening in our society. And it's particularly gratifying to see the Davitts have become a springboard to global success for many of our Australian crime writers. To mark the 20th anniversary, the trophies feature a brand new design crafted by Simon Wrangles. And we're now going to hear from Morag Kisler, this year's Judge Wrangler.
A virtual good evening to sisters in crime and brothers-in-law. I'm Morag Kisler, Judge Wrangler for the 2020 Davitt Awards, and I'd like to thank my fellow judges, Karina Kilmore, Philomena Horsley, Beck Kavanagh, Pauline Meany and Debbie Stephen for their insight and lively debate. And hats off to those judges who, during difficult times in lockdown, juggled homeschooling, work and multitude other tasks while reading a tsunami of crime books for this year's 20th Davitt Awards. The judges applaud the authors for their hours of word tussling to create this year's list of outstanding fiction and non-fiction. Deciding winners for the various categories was difficult. The standard of writing was excellent and also diverse. The judges would like to acknowledge all Australian female crime writers, winners, shortlisted authors, and those who didn't make the shortlist, but not through lack of talent. Thank you. Sisters in Crime Australia encourages the future endeavours of crime writing. There are so many creative and talented Australian female crime writers, so please keep it up. Praise too goes to the publishers for their support and encouraging their authors, both established and debut, while the importance of the arts has been neglected. Like last year, this year brought a wealth of talent in the non-fiction category. Deciding the winner in this category was difficult, with 2 books of particular merit. Again, the debut category included a list of outstanding books. However, the winner was agreed unanimously amongst the judges. The young adult category was another line ball and challenging decision. It's heartening to see young adult crime fiction covering such diverse and interesting topics. Congratulations to all authors and to the readers. What a feast of talent to be found in both the winning and shortlisted books. Enjoy reading them, and to our virtual guests, enjoy the night celebrating our homegrown talent.
Thanks, Morag. Okay, we come to the Davitt Best Non-Fiction Crime Book. 19 books completed this year for the Davitt Best Non-Fiction Book, with 5 shortlisted. Over to you, Val.
It's my great pleasure to announce that the judges highly commended Jess Hill for See What You Made Me Do, Power, Control and Domestic Abuse. Jess Hill is an investigative journalist who's been reporting on domestic abuse since 2014. Prior to this, she was a reporter and producer for ABC Radio and a Middle East correspondent for the Globe Mail. See What You Made Me Do is her first book and was awarded the 2020 Stella Prize.
And what the judges said about See What You Made Me Do is that it documents and exposes the many guises of the perpetrators of domestic crimes and abuse, and at the same time gives strength and power to the stories of the victims involved. This is a remarkable book, an intimate and deep look at the impact of domestic control and abuse, and a must-read for every Australian.
Thank you so much, Val and Sue, and thank you for this. This is gorgeous. It is totally taking pride of place. Thank you to the Davitt Awards as well. And I just think it's so important to honour women who are writing stories about crime, both fiction and non-fiction, because I think by and large the female perspective on crime is that a murder is not just a plot point, but it's something that has a tragic effect on a community and down the generations. And I think we're also uniquely sensitive to the fact that the system so often fails to properly protect women and children. And as the great Trawulwai woman Fiona Hamilton said yesterday, we need to make it easier for women to leave abuse than it is for them to stay. And this was a labour of love and loss and extremely hard work spanning almost 4 years. Thank you so much to Chris Fike, Kirsty Innes-Will, and Marion Blythe at Blake Inc. for backing the book 100%, to my family for looking after our gorgeous girl who is locked in the bedroom right now, and the victim survivors for teaching me about agency and resistance and love and survival, and my husband for editing every word, having very deep-throated conversations and making this book possible. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Jess, and congratulations. Okay, Val, it's time for the winner of the Davitt Best Non-Fiction Crime Book to the announcement.
Indeed, and the winner of the Davitt Best Non-Fiction Crime Book is Adele Ferguson for Banking Bad, Whistleblowers, Corporate Cover-Up, One Journalist Fight for the Truth. And that's from ABC Books, an imprint of HarperCollins Publishers Australia. Adele Ferguson is a multi-award-winning journalist for The Age and the Sydney Morning Herald, and a regular guest reporter on ABC's Four Corners and 7:30. She's the author of the best-selling unauthorised biography on Gina Rinehart and her book, Banking Bad. Some of her exposés include the 7-Eleven wage fraud scandal, which so far has resulted in compensation payments of more than 160 million to thousands of vulnerable foreign workers, and her investigations into the banking sector, which helped bring about a royal commission. Adele has a Bachelor of Economics and Arts degrees from Adelaide University. Her journalism awards include 8 Walkley Awards, including the Gold Walkley for her Four Corners programme Banking Bad, and the Graham Perkin Journalist of the Year. In 2019, Adele was awarded a Member of the Order of Australia.
And this is what the judges said about Banking Bad. Banking Bad by Adele Ferguson showcases her deep research and thorough knowledge about mass financial crimes in Australia for several decades. Despite being a true crime book, it reads like a frightening thriller. Ferguson uses great empathy and skill to explain the injustices and dishonesty that impacts every single Australian household, not just in the past or at the time that these crimes were committed, but that will continue to cause harm for generations to come. The bad behaviour by financial institutions and their advisors saw people lose their homes, have their superannuation whittled away, and a complete loss of trust and confidence in our financial system. This is an important and outstanding book. Let's hear from Adele.
How fantastic. I'm absolutely delighted to win this award. They really are bad banks. I'd like to congratulate the finalists who produced wonderful pieces of work. And I'd really like to thank Sisters in Crime for promoting women's crime writing and the judges for selecting Banking Bad. While the book did win the non-fiction, there were many times I felt like I was writing a fiction. It had all the ingredients, including victims, villains, and heroes. Heroes such as whistleblowers, Jeff Morris, and Dr. Ben Coe, who sacrificed so much to speak up. Nothing was off limits with these banks. They even charged dead people fees to get their money. There were psychopaths in management. There was everything here. Through public shamings rather than jail sentences, which if we had a fiction, we would have them in jail, the banks have promised to clean up their act, but I'm still waiting. But thank you so much for this really great award.
Thank you so much, Adele. And just to let you know, in Iceland, the bankers did go to jail.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Iceland did it right.
They
Thank
did.
you so much. We now come to the Davitt for the best children's crime novel. This year, 12 crime books competed for the Davitt for best children's crime novel, and 4 were shortlisted.
And the Davitt for the best children's crime novel goes to Jenny Blackford for The Girl in the Mirror from Eagle Books, an imprint of Christmas Press. Jenny Blackford is an award-winning Australian writer and poet. Her poems and stories for adults and children have appeared in Asimov's, Westerly, The School Magazine, and many more Australian and international journals and anthologies. She won 2 prizes in the Sisters in Crime Australia Scarlet Stiletto Awards 2016 for a murder mystery set in classical Delphi with water nymphs. Eagle Books published her spidery, ghostly middle-grade novel, The Girl in the Mirror, in October 2019. It's based on a story that originally appeared in The School Magazine. Pitt Street Poetry published her 3rd poetry collection, The Alpaca Cantos, in April 2020.
And this is what the judges had to say. Separated by more than 100 years and brought together through a mysterious mirror, Maddie and Clarissa provide comfort and wisdom to each other at a time when they feel desperately alone. The girls band together to defeat a creeping evil that threatens the lives of their families. The Girl in the Mirror is a refreshingly contemporary time slip mystery. Maddie and Clarissa are intensely relatable with their shared frustrations at the way in which they are dismissed by the adults in their lives. Jenny Blackford has captured the pains of early adolescence, loneliness, fear, uncertainty in a gripping mystery that is perfectly pitched to the middle readers who will love it. Over to you, Jenny.
Thank you so much. I am so delighted to have won this trophy for the crime novel Davitt. It is a wonderful award from Sisters in Crime, who do so much to encourage Australian female writers and indeed readers. I have to thank Christmas Press commissioning editor Betty Alvarez. She took The Girl in the Mirror out of the slush and turned it into a real book. This is a wonderful thing. She's from Christmas Press and working, in my case, in the imprint Eagle Books, which is the adventure imprint. The small press is from Armidale and run by Sophie Masson, Fiona MacDonald and David Allen. Thank you all at Christmas Press and Eagle Books. And I have to thank my extremely patient friends and family, many of whom have gone through multiple drafts of this novel, and all of whom have had to face me going completely blank in the middle of something I was trying to do and starting to scribble down something I just thought of. So thank you, all of you. Thank you to everyone, especially the judges. This award means so much to me.
Thank you, Jenny. It's lovely to hear that, and congratulations. Okay, we're now coming up to the Best Young Adult Crime Novel. 8 young adult crime books were in contention this year, with 3 shortlisted.
And the winner of the Davitt for Best Young Adult Crime Book is Astrid Schulte for her debut novel 4 Dead Queens from Allen and Unwin. Raised on a diet of Spielberg, Lucas and Disney, Astrid Schulte knew she wanted to be surrounded by all things fantastical from a young age, and has spent the past 14 years working in film, animation and VFX production. Despite her sunny demeanour, she's inexplicably drawn to murder mysteries, true crime, Agatha Christie and Cluedo. Her international best-selling debut, 4 Dead Queens, combines this love of fantasy and whodunits. Her second novel, The Vanishing Deep, was released on the 3rd of March 2020 with Allen and Unwin. Up next is a return to crime and fantasy with League of Liars in 2021.
And this is what the judges said. 4 Dead Queens is an action-packed journey into the world of Quadara, where 4 queens jointly reign over its quadrants of agriculture, technology, commerce, and the arts. Carolee Corrington is a feisty, resourceful young thief who is shadowed by the guilt of past deeds. She finds herself in a dangerous race against time when she uncovers a plot to assassinate all 4 queens. Astrid Schulte enhances the gripping narrative by offering rich insights into her characters and the cultural tensions that exist between the diverse quadrants. Her story culminates in a genuinely shocking twist. This is an outstanding debut and inventive world building at its peak. And let's now hear from Astrid. And Astrid, I hope I pronounced your name right. I think Val may have got it right and I may have got it wrong.
Thank you so much, Sisters in Crime Australia, for this incredible honour. I am so thrilled to be a part of the crime writing community in Australia. It's been a passion of mine. Mysteries have been books that I've always been drawn to ever since I was a kid. And to have my book out in the community and being enjoyed by readers is a dream come true. I would like to thank all the judges who voted for my book, as well as my editor, Stacey Barney at Random House, Penguin Random House in America, as well as Allen and Unwin, specifically Sucheta Raj and Jodie Webster and the entire team there for their incredible support. And a huge shout out to my agent, Hilary Jacobson, for her incredible, unwavering support throughout the last few years. I also have to thank my friends and family because it has been a long journey to get to this point and they've always been such wonderful cheerleaders. Of course, my parents have been amazing and my fiance for always being there and always having, you know, the kind words to keep me going when the going got tough and handling those rejections. Having the debut novel out last year has been such a surreal experience, and I'm looking forward to writing many more crime novels and being a part of this amazing community. So thank you again.
Oh, thank you, Astrid. And yes, we hope you are. Stay with it. Okay, we now come to the Davitt for the best debut crime book. And the judges shortlisted 9 books for this Davitt from 41 debut books across all 4 categories.
I'm always excited by debut award winners because that to me is the future of the genre, and it's always a tap on the shoulder for those of us who've been doing it for a while as to what the possibilities are and what newcomers to the genre are thinking of doing with it. And that's the challenge that's thrown down every year with looking at debuts. And the winner of this year's Davitt for a debut crime novel is Susan Hurley for 8 Lives from Affirm Press. Dr. Susan Hurley is a writer and medical researcher. She studied pharmacy, then trained as an epidemiologist, health economist, and statistician. See how I managed to say that this early in the morning. Her research focus has been the cost effectiveness of medicines and public health programs such as mammographic screening, HIV prevention, and tobacco control. She worked in universities and the pharmaceutical industry for more than 30 years, and her research has been published in medical journals like The Lancet. Susan's essays, stories, and travel journalism have appeared in literary journals and newspapers. She was shortlisted for the 2017 Peter Carey Short Story Award, and her debut novel, 8 Lives, originates from a real-life drug trial that ended tragically. Acclaimed as an intricate thriller and a clever, sobering book, 8 Lives has been shortlisted for numerous awards.
And this is what the judges said. 8 Lives is a groundbreaking medical thriller, which was also shortlisted for Best Novel, a tremendous achievement by a highly skilled debut writer. This thoroughly researched and stunning debut blends fact and fiction. The novel documents a drug test gone horribly wrong, its effects on the lives of 8 very different people. 8 Lives contains enough plot twists to mislead the most avid crime reader with an unexpected kick-ass ending. So over to you, Susan.
Well, I'm absolutely delighted to receive this award, and here it is, looking beautiful. So thank you, Sue and Val, for presenting it to me tonight. Thank you to the Davitt Award judges for those kind words. Thank you to Martin Hughes and the Affirm Press team, Claire Forster at Curtis Brown, and the many, many other people who helped me bring 8 Lives to readers. I'd also like to give a shout out to my cheer squad, my daughters, Claire and Elle, and my husband, Jamie. Thanks for celebrating my achievements, guys. It's really appreciated. My novel shines a light on the world of medical research and drug development. It's a world of optimism and groundbreaking discoveries, life-saving discoveries, but also competitiveness, financial pressures, and setbacks. Our hopes for an end to the pandemic now centre on that world, where scientists are working tirelessly to develop vaccines and treatments. Sadly, 8 Lives has its origins in a real-life drug trial, as Sue said, where such work was flawed. The men who volunteered suffered a cytokine storm, ironically, one of the causes of death from COVID-19. There's tragedy in 8 Lives too, but there's also triumph. One of the characters even invents a treatment for a pandemic virus. He calls it Pand-Aid. I'm sure we all hope that in that regard, fact very soon emulates fiction. Thank you to Sisters in Crime for honouring me with this award, and for all you do to promote writing by women and reading by everyone.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you. That's lovely. And congratulations again.
Thank you.
Okay, we now come to the Best Adult Crime Novel, and a record astonishing 85 novels competed for this award, with 7 books being shortlisted. What a huge amount of talent is represented in this list.
It's so exciting to see the numbers rise year on year in this category. It's great to see so many women writing top flight crime fiction in Australia. And it's certainly the case in the UK that we've become much more aware of Australian writing in recent years. So I'm very happy to announce the winner of the 2020 Davitt Award for the Best Adult Crime Novel, and it's Meg Mundell for Trespassers from University of Queensland Press. Meg Mundell is an author, journalist and researcher from Melbourne via New Zealand. The Trespassers is her second novel, but her first foray into crime, and it was shortlisted for the Norma K. Hemming Award and an Aurealis Award for Best Science Fiction Novel. It's been optioned for TV. Black Glass, her first novel, was also shortlisted for several prizes. Meg is the editor of We Are Here, Stories of Home, Place and Belonging, a collection of true stories by people who have experienced homelessness. Her writing has appeared in The Guardian, The Age, The Monthly, The Big Issue, and Best Australian Stories.
And this is what the judges said about the book. The judges were mesmerised from the novel's opening page to the very last word. Each sentence is poetry, and the story enthralls from start to finish. The Trespassers is presciently set during a global pandemic and is speculative literary fiction at its finest. It tracks the deprivations and fears of passengers sailing from London to Melbourne as new infections break out on board. Its themes of murder, indentured labour, and corporate sabotage conclude in a chilling and haunting finale. So let's hear from Meg. Hi, Meg.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm Sue and Val. Here's my beautiful award, and I am excited and grateful and just hugely honoured by this. A big thank you to the judges, the organisers, and my fellow sisters in crime. Everyone knows that crime writers are the cool ones, and female crime writers are the coolest of all. So thank you so much for letting me join the sisterhood. I know that we'd all rather be celebrating in person, but 1 year ago when The Trespassers was published, I never imagined that my fictional pandemic would come true. It's been a very surreal year for all of us, but it's strangely surreal for me, having written this book. I do hope that at next year's Davitts, we can all clink our glasses together safely in person. I want to say a huge thanks to my brilliant agent, Martin Shaw, my amazing publisher, Aviva Tuffield at UQP, my wonderful editor, Vanessa Palette, and everyone at the UQP team. And thanks to my lovely long-suffering partner, Andy, and our book crazy 7-year-old son, Charlie, and our families for their steadfast support. Congratulations to all of the shortlisted authors and the category winners. And the Davitts, I think, are really special. They highlight the breadth of talent of the women working right across this field. And they prove, I think, genre is a tool. It's not a pigeonhole. So to my sisters in crime, stay shady and all power to your words. Thank you so much.
I love that. Okay, so we've got a new sign-off, stay shady. I like that. That's great. Okay, thank you, Meg. All right, we've now come to the Reader's Choice Award, and it's our great privilege to present this now. All 124 books competed for this award as decided by the 500 plus members of Sisters in Crime.
And for the first time ever, the vote was tied, so 2 awards are being presented. I have to say, I'm really glad about this, because I've read both of these books and I love them, and I would be hard pressed under torture to say which one of them was the better of the 2. So I'm delighted that tonight we're presenting the awards both to Emma Viskich for Darkness for Light from Echo Publishing and Derval McTiernan for The Scholar from HarperCollins Publishers Australia. As you'll hear, they're both serial offenders when it comes to the Davitt Awards. Emma Viskich's critically acclaimed Caleb Zelich series has won numerous awards, including a Ned Kelly Award and 5 Sisters in Crime Davitt Awards. Now that's just greedy, isn't it? Her debut novel, Resurrection Bay, was also shortlisted for the UK's prestigious Gold Dagger and New Blood Dagger, and the US's Barry Award. Emma learned Australian Sign Language in order to write the character of Caleb, who's profoundly deaf. Formerly a classical clarinet player, her musical career has ranged from performing with Jose Carreras to playing at an engagement party that ended in a brawl. Sounds like she could sit in with the fun-loving crime writers anytime.
Please.
Absolutely. And you're playing at the next Davitt's, Emma.
I'm in.
You're in. Good. Over to you.
I cannot tell you how delighted I am to have won this award. The Reader's Choice Award is an award so very close to my heart, and I'm just so honoured to be sharing it with Dervla, who is not only a shining star of crime fiction, but also just a thoroughly wonderful person. I am deeply grateful to everyone who voted for Darkness for Light, and to all my readers. Readers breathe life into written words. Without you, there's nothing but strange little glyphs on a page. So thank you all for giving Darkness for Light your time and attention, and for giving it life. I've been writing the next Caleb book through the seemingly endless Melbourne lockdown, and this award has really encouraged me to keep doing what I love most, which is torturing Caleb. My sincere thanks, as always, to Sisters in Crime. Your tireless efforts to support women writers have really changed the landscape of Australian crime fiction, as evidenced by all the amazing books honoured here tonight. And your support has been really instrumental in building my career all the way back to my debut novel, Resurrection Bay. And you've inspired me to pay it forward by mentoring other writers too. Because if I've learnt one thing from the sisters, it's that everyone is stronger when we're a community. Readers, writers, publishers, booksellers. So thank you, everybody.
Oh, beautifully said. Well done, Emma.
Now let's hear about the other joint winner, Dervla McTiernan. And before I tell you a little bit about Dervla's career, I'm just going to say that Dervla has the sleuthing skills of one of our heroines. When we first encountered each other, Dervla was on my New Blood panel at the Harrogate Crime Writing Festival, and she presented me with a pair of sneakers which are covered in little drawings of books. And somehow she knew my shoe size. Now, I don't even want to speculate about how she knew what size my feet are, but let's not go there. But she's clearly got detective skills lurking in there in her own life. Dervla's debut novel, The Ruin, was a critically acclaimed international bestseller published all around the world. The Ruin won the Ned Kelly Award for Best First Fiction, the Davitt Award for Best Adult Fiction, and the Barry Award for Best Original Paperback, and was shortlisted for numerous other awards. It was on the Amazon US Best Book of the Year list in 2018, and screen rights were snapped up by Hopscotch Features. Dervla's second book, The Scholar, debuted into the Nielsen Bookscan Top 5 on release in 2019, and her third, The Good Turn, went straight in at #1, confirming her place as one of Australia's best crime writers. The Scholar won the International Thriller Award for Best Original Paperback and has been shortlisted for the Ned Kelly Award for Best Crime Fiction.
Okay, over to you, Dervla.
Oh my goodness, what do I say? Where do I start? Except to say thank you so much, everybody. I'm over here in Western Australia, so my award hasn't quite arrived. I have a picture though, and it looks beautiful. So I can't wait for it to get here. I think it's delayed by COVID. I just want to say thank you so much, Sue, and thank you, Val, for giving us all a lovely evening despite our restrictions. I'm so happy to receive the award. All awards are lovely, but there's something really special about a Reader's Choice Award. And I mean, for people to take the time to vote and to consider which one they particularly enjoyed that year and to share it with Emma is very special. I just want to thank the sisters, everybody who voted, my lovely editors, Anna and Nicola, and most especially my brilliant joint winner, Emma Viskic. I'm an absolute fan of Emma's, as she knows. I adore her books. She writes like a god, and I'm honoured to be sharing the award with her. I also want to say, particularly in relation to the Sisters in Crime, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a woman crime writer in Australia today who hasn't had their career touched in some way by the Sisters in Crime at some point. There's always a point where a little bit of encouragement goes a long way, and somehow the Sisters in Crime always seem to be there at that moment, and they certainly have been there for me. I don't know if I'd be writing today if it wasn't for their short story competition. They shortlisted me at a moment when I needed a little push, So it was very important to me, and I'm very happy to be here again and to have an opportunity to thank them for that. So thank you very much, everybody, and thank you for a lovely evening.
Oh, and thank you, Dervla. Thank you on behalf of Sisters in Crime. That was so lovely. Thank you. Okay, that was the last award, and it would be wonderful if all the other winners would now join us on screen now. You can put on your video and appear, because we want to say congratulations to you all. I've got my wine ready. It's a shame the pandemic meant we couldn't celebrate in person, but at least this will be on the Sisters in Crime YouTube channel in perpetuity. Anyone from anywhere in the world can view the ceremony, and we've also enjoyed the wonderful company of Val McDermid, even if she is over there in Fife. We feel as though you're right here with your wonderful Urn Brew, I think we can say, but it looks like champagne. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, everyone.
Well done,
Cheers.
everybody. Well
Cheers.
done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Yay.
And we've got one more thing to do. It wouldn't be Sisters in Crime if there wasn't a raffle. I mean, believe it or not, we've managed to do it in the virtual world. And it just means that I've got to be a little bit careful with my screen for one moment. But Meg, you're going to go first. You're going to choose a number from 1 to 27 for the Be Immortalized in Fiction competition. Just choose any number from 1 to 27.
18.
18. 18 is Jane Patrick. That's the winner of that competition. Okay. Congratulations, Jane. You're going to be immortalized in fiction. And Val, we need 3 numbers between 28 and 76. So you can start at 28 and work your way up, but we need 3 numbers. But pause after each one so they can read the name out.
So I'm going with 35.
35 is Natalie Conyer. It's a name I recognize. Okay, next one.
43.
43 is Ulla Svensson. One more.
And 61.
And 61 is Jan Mulcahy. So there we are. Congratulations, Raffle and Immortalized in Fiction. Yeah, it's amazing how Sisters in Crime always prevails with the...
If I could just say a little bit quickly about having a character named after you. Many years ago at Sisters in Crime, I donated a name to your raffle, and it was won by Bronwyn Scott up in Queensland, who's a marine biologist. And I created the character of Bronwyn Scott as a defence solicitor in the Tony and Carol books. And she was such a great character that she's come back now several times. So Bronwyn really got her money's worth.
An ongoing character. I pay for that. Okay, look, it's time to wind things up. It's just been great seeing you all and talking to you all and being part of this wonderful event celebrating women's crime fiction. And I'd like to thank the judges, Catherine Lamont from Swinburne University for her work on the videos, the Davitt sponsors, the publishers, and the Sisters in Crime conveners who do all the work behind the scenes. And to remind everybody that you can buy all of the books online from the Sun Bookshop, who have been the wonderful long-term supporters of Sisters in Crime. And at this point, there is nothing more to do than to say a special thanks to Val for joining us. Come and join us again when you can, for making the 20th Davitt Awards so special for us. We need you here. We need you here. Everybody,
you are my tribe. You are my tribe. You took me to your heart many years ago, and you've kept me in your hearts ever since. And I treasure the time I spend with you. And I hope that I'll get back to spend time with you in the flesh next year.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Okay, well, look, congratulations, everybody. It's now time to do that thing that everybody does on Zoom, which is wave. I do jazz hands. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.